Okay, now I'll come back to my question. So apart from peer-to-peer, what do you think that which is driving the industry, or which will drive the industry in the coming days? Any thought anybody has? I'm expecting that you know all these things, at least technology-wise.
Big data, they say.
Big data, yeah, that's definitely is that's kind of going big.
Anything else?
And anybody blockchain?
Blockchain, Node.js.
Yeah.
That's the questions coming up. Blockchain, Node.js.
Mm-hmm. Any augmented reality, VR, AR, having those wearable in your and watching matches.
Yeah, augmented reality and machine learning, virtual reality.
Awesome. Yep. I think that's coming really big. Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, knowing today's generation, right? I was expecting that you know these things, right? Which are the technologies which is swiping the industry around. Cloud computing, as I said, is not trend anymore. It's just a truth. I mean, it's just a fact now, and probably it's a matter of past. Now we are talking about quantum computing. Now we are talking about machine learning, artificial intelligence. These technologies also came a few years back, but still getting integrated with the business model, because not every customer has the big data use case, right? So probably as a customer, I want to do big data, but I don't know how I can use the big data for my business case. That's the challenge customers are facing. But I'm glad that you have some idea about which are the technologies which are trending, and probably next generation technologies, if I can call it. And my idea is that I'll not get into that technology, but because you already know, why not I share you some trends, which is technology agnostic. Why not I share you some trends, which is, in general, industry is adopting, or industry is, thinking about, right? And probably you will hear about technology themes in many other forums. So let me try to take this opportunity to be a little different. Yeah. So what I was thinking, I identified few items for you, honestly, and probably go through those to explain you what exactly that mean. I know that you cannot see my slide, but I can talk through. Um, the first item, which is I believe is very niche for last few years now, and I don't see it is slowing down in future, which is digital transformation. So you might have heard this terminology before as a buzzword, technology buzzword. Yeah, and that happens. So in industry, many times it happens that just some buzzword comes and everybody basically runs after that without understanding what does it really mean. Does it really make any difference to the business? And but digital transformation is really something people are adopting. Many customers, in fact, right now, if I tell you, I'm working with at least 2-3 customers who are performing the same thing. But what does that mean? So digital transformation is nothing but bringing in this new technology, which is proven. Let's say social media, let's say cloud computing, let's say machine learning or artificial intelligence, let's say some automation, robotics, in terms of not really that robot, but programming, robotic automation. So many industry or many customers, many business are trying to revolve or trying to renew their business processes with these new technologies. So maybe they have implemented 15 or 10 years back some business process, and after that they have not changed anything. Right now they are reconsidering, they're reviewing their business process and seeing how can they implement it with these new generation technologies. Just imagine if you go for a trip somewhere, how closely you check the reviews on TripAdvisor or and GoIBib or whatever. So how dependent are you on the social media right now? So before buying anything, how closely you monitor the peer reviews, how other users has given. So I think that's how things are changing, and customers have all the power. And when I say consumer, as a consumer, I also expect more and more power. That okay, today I'm looking at this, I want to compare this with another thing, then only I will make my decision. It's not anymore that somebody offered me something and I have to buy that. So that's how it is, right? So power is with consumer, and if you want to retain your consumers, business also need to adjust to that, right? It cannot be that I call you and ask for my shipping status, you say something, and then I mail you, you give me something else. So I mean, it will be consistent that it's a single customer. So when I'm a consumer for some business, let's say any telecom or any product company, for them I need to be one customer, whether I'm calling by phone, whether I'm calling, emailing, whether I'm trying to tweet, or whether I'm, going to a shop and trying to buy something, right? So that's a change which is happening for last few years. It's not this year or it's not very new, but not every customer has embraced the change before. So still I see that change is happening, and that's what we call digital transformation. Yeah. The other thing, little technical, little more relevant for you, even when you will be beginning with your career. Right? Digital transformation, you may heard this. Probably you will be working for a project which is doing digital transformation, but you may not know it. That may happen. That happens actually. Not ideal, but it happens. But that other point I wanted to discuss is agile. I'm sure you have read about agile models, isn't it? So one question. So for your project, what kind of model you have used? Can you identify that? Anybody? For your final year or this last semester assessment, which kind of model you have used?
So by default, they use waterfall only.
Yeah, that was expected, and probably to some extent iterative. I definitely did not think that you have used agile, but you know agile, that I know because that's your curriculum, right?
Yeah, curriculum wise, they've studied, but while implementation, it is either waterfall or spiral. That's it that they use.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, I think that's what happens actually. That happens naturally to us, that we understand requirement and then go for the implementation and all. But the industry is really moving towards agile. And when I'm say industry is moving, it's both way. Buzzword wise, so there will be customer. I have met that kind of customer who probably doesn't know what agile is or the impact, but they still want to be agile because that's how the industry is buzzing, right? If you don't do agile, then you are falling back, right? And that's a challenge for us who are working on this, right? But at the same time, I feel that you can be prepared yourself for that. So why not? I share a few things on agile piece, and let's see if I can help you with that. I know you know the models. You know what is agile. You know what is waterfall. What is iterative development, etc. Um, how about, so this is your waterfall. This is what probably you are doing, right? You requirement you to design. So I'm not going into that. I don't know if you have seen this picture before, but this is agile actually. So at the first goal, you are giving something for customer. It's not complete, it's not the car, but at least you are giving something which customer can use, for going from one room to another room or something like that. But you are giving a product which he can use. So I think that's the background of agile, honestly speaking. So if I look back, and again I was reading some analyst reports and all, some of the big data project is failing. Do you know why? Because they are long-term project. So they started their project, let's say 6 months or 1 year back, and when they're finishing the project, uh, they're finding it that that project business case is not relevant anymore. The value for which they have started the project is lost. Sometimes due to the change in the requirements, sometimes due to the technology change, sometimes due to the customer demands. Reason can be anything. The bottom line is the days are gone when you can wait for 12 months or 18 months or 24 months for a project to be completed and see the output. So as a customer also, if you're investing, you want to see the output faster. That's why agile comes in. And that's a very simple, understanding why agile is needed. Let's not get into the details of what is agile and all. Just a value addition for customer, right? I'm paying you, so every month I'll be able to see something and which I'll be able to use, not just that you share your screen and show me and go away, right? I will be able to touch it, I'll be able to access it, and that's the value agile can add. Now we have lot of agile mechanism. I think I have worked with at least 4 5 of them, right? But which is commonly used, which probably is a Scrum. I believe you have heard about this, right? So what does Scrum means? Now, one of the challenge I face when I try to deploy my team for some project. In fact, nowadays I'm doing a ramp up for one of my customer. One of the challenge I face that Scrum looks for team members who can do everything. Like, you have to do development, you need to understand little bit of knowledge of, requirement, little bit of design, testing, etc. The Scrum doesn't say that, but that's the industry perception that, one person need to know everything. And then we think, how can I put a debut or a fresher to that project? Can he do that? Can he understand what we are trying to do in an agile or Scrum? And that's why the challenges begins, right? I mean, how do I deploy you? Right? How do I deploy a debut junior person? Because you need to be self-managed. That's agile says. How can we do that? So I thought, why not, probably you have seen this picture before, but why not you understand that as a programmer or developer perspective, what is important for you, right? So, this is pretty simple that you are accumulating backlog, then you are doing sprint planning, and then doing that small development, and then delivering, which is useful for customer. But as a developer, what you have to understand here, that this Scrum is made for you, for team members. Right? So you have to talk, you have to speak. I don't know. I have heard this that it is our Indian culture that we are normally little, reluctant to ask questions. We are reluctant to proactively, raise our concerns. Somebody very funnily told me that customer is asking, "Can you do this work?" If it's an Indian colleague is saying, "Yeah, I will do." If the tone is like that, that means he cannot do it. So he'll not be able to do it. Uh, it doesn't happen with, when you go into a different culture, right? They say no when it is no, right? And Scrum really wants that you manage your work. And that means if you cannot do it, you have to raise your hand and you have to tell. So, as I said, I want to explain a little bit on what is your responsibility as a part of the Agile, right? And I'm sure that if you are joining this industry and if you are in a project, Scrum is going to be there or some other way or the other. Agile is must. There is no two way about that. And probably 90% project will be happening in Scrum. So if you can align yourself, right, because it's the mentality change. It's not really something you can read a book and learn. Right? You cannot learn, how to ask a question, right? You cannot learn how to raise your problem, challenge. So it's more of a culture, and that comes through close collaboration. So the way it works that you decide what you are going to deliver after 2 weeks. So Scrum, as based out of some sprints, and sprints are 1 to 4 weeks length. So let's consider 2 weeks, something in the middle, and you decide at the beginning what you are going to deliver at the end of the 2 weeks. So it's up to you. In an ideal Scrum world, nobody can force you. So ask yourself, can you make this kind of decision? Can you strongly say, okay, I can deliver this and this feature after 2 weeks? How many times you can do that? How many times you do it, right? And if you commit, the catch is if you commit, there is no way you are coming back, right? So main thing that the focus is on you, and you need to decide your work and you need to manage your work. There will be other people whom you can reach out to solve your problem, to open your deadlock situations, but it is you who need to manage. There will be no project manager who will be managing you. There will be no lead who will be taking your status every hour. So you are free, but at the same time you have to give the confidence to people that you will be able to deliver as per your commitment. That's the first thing. Second thing, whenever you are delivering something, you have to keep in mind that you are delivering something useful, right? There is no demo, there is no proof of concept. Those, I don't know if you're familiar with these words, but these are the words you cannot use there. You are delivering something, even if it is child bicycle or child cycle skateboard, you have to deliver that. Even if you are not delivering the whole car, you have to deliver this bicycle or this skateboard at the first go. So you have to keep in mind that whatever you are delivering, this must be useful. If it is not useful, then whatever you have done is crap, right? And you know, third thing is you have to collaborate, and that's why all this Scrum is saying that it's all about team. If you look at my slide, right, I have said individual and interactions. So not on process, not on that every time you have to write a particular email. That doesn't Scrum is expecting you. But what Scrum is expecting that as a developer, you will be talking to other guys, trying to understand what they're doing. and if they are stuck, you will be helping them, and vice versa, you will also get the help from them. So I think as a developer, if you can remember these two, three things, right? First of all, you are in the driver's seat for your feature or your user story or your requirement. Okay. So nobody will influence that. You are the last word on that. And so your confidence level should be such that you can do that way. Second, you should not be reluctant to ask question and share your roadblocks and get help from others, right? And third, deliver something which is useful. Don't put your effort on something which is not useful for customer, right? So I hope that with these two three things, maybe you can do some practice. Like I know that some of you are using Salesforce, and you can do a small 3 weeks project and try out how things works, right? Whatever you are learning in your curriculum, just put that into practice and see how that works. It can be 2 member, it can be 3 member, doesn't matter, right? You practice and you'll find a lot of things which is like automatically should come from you. You cannot learn those things. You have to practice over the time and learn it. What if you understand those and be ready when you are joining the industry? Trust me, we are really looking for agile people, and in true sense. And honestly, it's very difficult, right? All right. Now I will get into the other items I got to tell you. So just to have a look at the screen. So I covered digital transformation and agile. Now, other interesting topics I have is very close to my heart. Citizen development. Have you heard this terminology before? Anybody? No? Okay. So, but that's a trend, industry is going there. So let me quickly tell you what does that mean. So all the new tools, new solution, new systems which is coming in industry and industry is adopting, those are expected to be very easy to use. So you don't need to be a developer to configure or use that tool, or set up the tool for your business. Anybody should be able to do that. Even the business user should be able to do that. And if you are using Salesforce, you will probably know a little bit of that, right? You can use implement your requirements without line a single line of code. So you don't need to write the code necessarily, right? And that's how citizen development is coming in. So every product, trust me, every product, including the integration products, which I never thought that it can be done by business. I always thought that integration is like a programmer's thing, architect's thing, have to come to us. But that is also happening right now. And of course, the product company need developers for developing those, but the way they are marketing this product and the kind of features they are exposing, anybody can do it. So you don't need to be a big programmer or architect to do that. And probably that gives you a key message here. I understand that as a computer science background or information technology background, we focus on technology. But if you don't understand customer business, you will get lost. At least in your team, somebody needs to understand that. And if you are a guy who has both technical and business understanding, you are the clear winner. At least in my industry, what I see, when I say my industry, I'm talking about service industry, right? So that's how citizen development is going to change things in coming days. Trust me, I have already seen this change happen. The fourth one is basically fourth industry revolution. It's a buzzword. We are already using it. We are using Hangout and YouTube Live to do this session. That's for fourth industry revolution. We'll be seeing that some of the connected things, right? IoT things. Your fridge is, or your home air conditioning is connected to your mobile device, right? So those are the fourth industry revolution. Just to give a background, first, second, and third are: first is the steam engine. When the steam engine came, that changed the whole landscape of the industry. So that is our first industry revolution. Second was the electrical. So when the electricity came into the picture, again things changed, and it created a havoc on the labor industry, isn't it? Save the lives of millions of workers, and talking, we are basically stepping into the fourth industrial revolution where everything is connected. That's the theme. Yeah, everything is connected, and everything is talking to each other. So that's the theme basically fourth industrial revolution is bringing in. And you will find a lot of articles around which is talking about how robotics or AI is going to eat our jobs, how we have to upskill to stay relevant in the market. So there are a lot of materials is going on the Google. So it's all about fourth industrial revolution. Personally, I think it will not eat my job, but I'll be probably doing a different kind of work. Yeah. So nothing to be afraid of. Data privacy. Probably, in India, I believe that we are undermining this concept, but Western countries and other countries are really, realizing and valuing it. We really don't care, in terms of, okay, how many of you read terms and conditions when you sign up for Google product or say Facebook or anything? So you given with the terms and conditions, you just scroll down, find the checkbox, select it, accept, and go forward, right? Do you know how your data is being used? Yep.
Everybody just accepts it and goes ahead.
And including myself, I mean, knowing that I'm talking about data privacy now, but I also do the same way. Who has time to read through those? I believe personally that I should develop a software where I can find out those kind of critical elements that which I need to read, not through the whole page, right? But that's a fact. But do you know that you cannot delete your image or photos on the Facebook? If you delete, it's still on the Facebook server,
Yeah.
and that's a risk. Yeah. So that's a risk, right? What exactly you're doing? What exactly you're giving away? Some of the European countries are very conscious about it. Trust me, they really don't want to give anything. When Russia, I was working for a customer who does business with Russia. Russia doesn't want to, give their data outside of their geographical region, outside of their border. So you have to put the server there. So data privacy is going to be very important in coming days. As we go forward, we'll realize the importance. Right now, anybody can call me, right? I mean, I don't know how they get my number. Some credit card, some loan, anybody can call me. We are not that regulated, honestly speaking, so far, but our customers are, and that's why a lot of work is coming in, right? You may have heard something called GDPR, which started last year, the European countries. That means that, if very simply speaking, it's a big thing. That simply speaking, that I control my data. If I tell an organization that remove the data, that organization is bound to remove the data, right? We don't have that kind of culture here yet in India. As a consumer, I don't see that, but maybe very soon it is coming in. And cyber security and data privacy is going to be big topic. Trust me. I mean, it's a little boring topic maybe, but it's going to be very important in our life and in IT industry. The next one is costs over bespoke. Costs is nothing but SaaS products. It's like commercial out of the box. I think off the shelf, we call it. So some product which is already prepared and given to you, and you just use it versus you develop it with a programming language custom, right? So I see more and more customer is going for COTS. Again, I will repeat the full form: commercial off the shelf. That's how we call it. Okay. And more customer will go for that, and there is a good reason for that. Stable, maintenance is less, no patch, no support. It's very easy for them. And then the other topic which I'm seeing very much happening in Salesforce world, and probably in other technology also it will happen, that is technology convergence. Gone are the days when you are doing big data in one system, you are doing, let's say, machine learning is another system, and you manage your customer in another system. How you are going to integrate insights coming through big data and apply this to your customer, right? So that I think the systems are coming up. We're converging all these technology things to one, so that it is easy for business to use, easy for business to use those insights and apply to their business. Yeah, and that is happening, and you will find it. Probably it will not impact directly, to us, because if I'm working on big data, I'll still work on big data. But for end user, for overall project structure, to have different kind of skill set so that you can, deliver the end-to-end value for your customer. All right. Yep.
Sanjay, there's one question which has popped up on YouTube. It's a person called Atharva Chogle. He wants to know, is it better to do a job in IT industry, or we should prepare for GATE and go to IIT for MTech?
Well, if you go for IIT or MTech, right? I mean, I have seen all those variations. It really depends uh, what exactly you want to achieve, right? If you go to IIT, then there is no point you come back to service industry. There are many people does, but that I personally believe so, because you are then made up for something, or you should target something which is little bigger, maybe some product job, product company, product design kind of activities, right? MTech and unless it also depends on the institution where you are doing. MTech and BTech, I did not find much difference. I'm working with a lot of MTech guys. Probably they get lakh per annum, maybe couple of grand. Um, but I don't see much difference in that, right? Ultimately, I will go back to my initial words. Is your basic strong? Are you flexible enough to take up things? Right? Obviously, if you are doing MTech or IIT from a good college, good university, that is going to help you to get the right kind of job. I think that's the difference, right? IIT guys will be placed in, or you'll be probably able to take up the opportunities maybe in Google, something core, very core, niche, right? But that's only few can do it. I know people in my very close friend actual circle actually, uh, who did MTech from institution like ISI, the Indian Statistical Institute, and they are now working in companies like Yahoo and Nvidia. On the same batch, I know he was my batch mate or hostel mate actually. He is doing, just like me, service company in the Citibank, for example, right? So it really depends how you are focusing, what you want to achieve. I believe educational degrees are basically tools which will drive to your destination, right? For service industry, typically it doesn't make big difference. Of course, it will give you bigger pay scale. Of course, it will give you bigger opportunities. But that's all I can tell. Yeah.